Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Wars Stuff Podcast and/or Season 2 pre-show. This pre-show is for episodes 7, 8, and 9, Year 3. My name is David.
I'm Colin.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Kevin.
I am Ted.
And this is, of course, is where we're going to talk all things Andor, what we think. We're going to speculate. We're going to give our opinions. We haven't had Kevin on the pre-show. I'm kind of interested to hear from him first about his thoughts, opinions, where he ranks this season of Andor in the Star Wars hierarchy. Kevin, what are your thoughts?
Oh, thanks for having me on, by the way. Appreciate it. I have been enjoying the ride. I learned from season 1, you got to kind of take it in stride. And the dropping 3 episodes at a time has been interesting. I remember the first week, I, of course, watched them all back to back to back. But, as you get older and stuff happens, and you have to, kind of plan around things and you plan on watching all of them. Last week, I watched the first episode. And I was just too tired. I didn't want to even go for the second one. I watched the second one and the third one the following days. So I was able to pretty much stay spoiler free by making sure I wasn't going out there on the internets. But I'm enjoying the slow build up. It has its moments that I like, some good dramatic moments, good character moments. I haven't really been expecting a lot of like boom boom action with Andor because the first season didn't really have that. It kind of built up and then stuff happened, built up and then stuff happened. But I am liking the 3-episode arc. I forget what he called it. Block. He called them block. That's right. Gilroy called them blocks. But it does make you kind of wonder, though, because you feel like there's certain things that are kind of left out on the table between the blocks. It's like, oh wait, they're living together now, or other little things and stuff like that. So it's a little interesting. But I got to tell you, from a 501st standpoint, I've been having a lot of fun analyzing a lot of the costumes, as you know, David. Yeah. And the sets have been phenomenal. And there's just a lot of really cool characters. I have been enjoying it. And it's some really good writing and good drama. And I'm kind of waiting to see if it pays off, which I'm not sure if it will yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm really hoping to get to take a good look at those ISB officers / troopers, the guys with the hats, but with the trooper armor, they're like rushing out. Yeah,
and then I guess they look like, in the 501st we have just the black outfit, the black jumpsuit with the cap, and it's like a Thai reserve type thing. But then you got the guys at the farm that were kind of Thai reserve, but then they had the blasters and and stuff. But those dress ISB uniforms, sharp, man, looking really cool.
What Kevin, what garrison are you from?
Santa Barbara. Well, I live in Santa Barbara, and it's part of the Southern California garrison. And then I'm also in the Channel Island Squad, which is an offshoot, of course, of the Southern California garrison. So yeah.
Oh, nice.
I started in the Georgia garrison, and then I moved out here. So yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm from the Great Lakes garrison here in Michigan. I'm on the
very nice. Yeah.
I am on the command.
So you're looking at this series with a different lens.
Yes. Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of different and it's been like with every show that has come out, because as soon as I see like a certain character or just like certain trooper or something pop up, I'm like, there's a bunch of us that are just rushing to see of what they can do to make that costume as soon as possible. Looking on Amazon to see if there's any certain because with all the new stuff, they've been having a lot of different things from Amazon that they just kind of put in the show, and they just kind of theme it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm looking at how they're fastening things and stuff like that, and because there's rules in Star Wars when it comes out. There's no zippers and buttons, and it's sometimes you'll see a zipper every now and then, but
and be like,
with Andor though, it's been spot on. And again, not just the uniforms, but the dress costumes that during the wedding. It's just, Mon Mothma has been killing it. She's gorgeous, and she's just man.
This has definitely been a season of just different costumes, and just to me, everything is so stunning. And what's also great is that we are getting close to A New Hope. So soon we will see like things that we are very, very familiar with. So I'm very excited to see.
Yeah. Love seeing Krennic back too. I forgot to mention that. Love Krennic.
Yeah,
So
he's just
smarmy.
one of my favorite characters, Ben Mendelsohn. Blue Milk Intelligence is out there on YouTube, and he's asking, or they are asking a question. What did you guys think of the Tales of the Underworld? So May the 4th, what just happened, just passed. They, of course, dropped Tales of the Underworld. I know Colin saw every episode immediately. Colin, do you want to address this question here?
Oh, yeah. I thought that the episodes were great. We learned about these two characters that we fell in love with because of the Clone Wars. Cad Bane's story was more of a origin story, and Ventrance's was more of like a continuation. And then also we like learned how she actually, is alive, because in the Dark Disciple novel she dies. So, or it was heavily hinted that she died, but then we have the episode of the Bad Batch where she shows up and everyone's like, wait, what? So I liked how they explained that in a very great way. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see of what we get in the future. We got a big reveal for Cad Bane that might show something later down the line in live action. I could see them doing, and then we might see more of both stories were, they kind of ended in a way where they could definitely continue something if they wanted to. And I thought that was interesting because the other tales kind of did that, but not to this extent. So, but yeah, very, very excited to see of what they do in the future and of what the next tales will end up being. Yeah.
So, okay. This is a question that I think we probably should have been posing the whole time. Who do you think is going to bite it tonight? Who are we going to lose? Are we going to lose one person? Are we going to lose multiple people? Who does everyone think is going to go?
I think Luthen.
This soon,
David. Next week is the finale of the show.
Yeah, but it's three more episodes. There's 6 episodes left.
I don't think. Right. So after these 3 episodes, there's only 3 episodes left.
Right. So we got 6 left.
Right. So I'm thinking that he won't make it at the end of these 3 episodes, just because of the next episodes lead directly into Rogue One, and there's been no sign that like he's playing strings in the background or anything. And I think he would play a big part in the rebellion if he was alive and around. I don't think he would be hiding in the shadows at that point. I think he would be very upfront. So I'm thinking that that Luthen is probably going to be the big one. Blue Milk Intelligence is saying Bix. I could see that too. That could be like a big motivator for Andor. Again, this is probably going to be the Gorman Massacre, so there's so there's going to be a lot of stuff going on in this one. I don't think anyone's safe.
Kyle?
I don't think we see Bix or Luthen die until the final 3 episodes, because I think if what they're kind of set up last week's block, I think there's going to be something happens between Bix, Luthen, and Andor that is not going to end well. Or maybe we even see Andor take out Luthen because of something that happens to Bix that Luthen sets up or something like that. So I can see that happening. There's going to be a lot of death this week, and I've got my trauma armor ready because this is going to be. But outside of, I think, Cassian, Bix, and Luthen, I don't think, and obviously Mon, but I don't think outside of that, nobody is safe over these next 3 episodes that are coming tonight. I think especially if you're on Gorman, it could end very ugly for you. So it might be the end of Cyril by the end of these episodes.
Kevin?
It's Bix. Come on. If anything told you from the last 3 episodes, photographing of who's going to go, it's going to be Bix. If someone starts off with a drug problem, bad decisions are going to be made. And also, Andor needs to really lose someone close to him to really, really settle himself into, right now, my life is all about the rebellion.
Yeah. The other thing too, that I wanted to point out is that sniper scene that we see in Rogue One, I think we're gonna have an echo of that in maybe this week's episode, just of these episodes, just because of something has to make him in Rogue One not want to shoot that rifle. Like something in him has to like something in the background is probably haunting him, and I think that this is gonna be it, because again, everything's leading to that movie. So because of Diego Luna even says, after watching the show, you will look at the movie completely different. So yeah, and I think there's gonna be a lot of truth to that coming up. But yeah, Ted.
It's going to be obviously Jar Jar Binks. That's why we don't see him in the original trilogy.
How dare you? He can't die, bro. And we know what happens to him. We know what happens to him, actually, for the most part.
Actually, I was kind of thinking Bix as well, but for different reasons. One of the storytelling mechanics that you kind of see often in mediums and projects, TV shows, movies, is that there's a certain like moment when a character sort of loses their innocence or loses their honor, and when a character gives into revenge, like Bix did, you root for them, sure, but they sort of cross their own morality line, and that tends to lead them down not a dark path, but a potential future scenario where they can't be around anymore. And so I think Bix giving in, committing that act, puts the nail in the coffin for her. She did it, and we probably wanted her to, but that also can speak doom in a narrative storytelling sort of way.
Yeah, after watching last week's episodes, I really didn't think it was going to be Bix, but James, one of our hosts, that's actually at Disneyland right now for Star Wars Night, he's trying to hang out with Diego Luna. He thought it was Bix too, and then I started thinking about it, and it's kind of growing on me. Now Kevin has said it, and I'm like, man, it does feel like Bix is going to go, but it doesn't feel like she's going to go like in the first 2 episodes. It feels like it's going to be the end of this block. But you do know who is going to show up, though. I'm predicting K2SO.
This is definitely when K2SO gets pulled in.
Yeah, we've waited so long. When they announced the first season of Andor, I thought we were going to get him then, and then of course we didn't. And it seems like it was just a story rework from Tony Gilroy. That's why he wasn't brought on. And Alan Tudyk said as much in an interview that he did, that the story didn't call for him to show up, even though they had him kind of scheduled in. Tony Gilroy just made that call, and they're saving him for really late in the game. But it also helps with the FX, the VFX, of course. It lowers the budget. Yeah, I've been really wanting to see how K2SO and Andor actually meet, how that all transpires. I think we're going to get it tonight, finally. Is there anything else you guys think or have heard stuff, maybe without giving anything away, that we're going to get tonight in this third
I think we get Mon's big speech tonight. There's no question in my mind. I think some big time stuff with Mon in the Senate happened in these 3 episodes.
I know they said no emperor, but I'm still hoping that we get some type of thing, because it just, to me, it is a huge loss in a way that we don't get that interaction, just because, and I said this last week and I was so hyped up about it, but The Emperor is the Empire. He is the face of the Empire, the most dark thing in the galaxy, facing these rebel cells, facing the rebellion. He is the face of the Empire. And if you don't have Mon Mothma giving that speech to the Emperor, I think that is a huge wasted opportunity. And Ian McDermott has said it so many times that he loves playing that character and he wants to keep playing it as long as he can. So if they don't have him in there, that is a huge missed opportunity, in my opinion. But yeah.
So out of all the trailers, all the marketing, we've seen every single thing except the K2SO stuff, right?
Yeah.
There's not a single frame of anything that we haven't seen yet.
Are they sure they're not pulling a Taskmaster with K2SO?
Oh, geez.
There was a clip, I think last week, that posted Cassian running through like a kind of grass type village area. We haven't seen that yet. That might be Yavin. We haven't seen Yavin at all yet either. And Yavin's been shown in some of the trailers and stuff. So, and I think
we saw it when he took the TIE Avenger there,
right? But
there's other scenes inside the pyramids, right?
Yes, and there's a specific scene where like he's carrying a backpack and he's actually walking through, and you see X-wings and everything in the background. So,
yeah, I just can't fathom not getting Palpatine and Vader, like even like a little shot of them. But it seems like Tony Gilroy has said that they're not in this at all, apparently. And I don't know.
I feel like Tony told us things that weren't going to happen in the first season either, and they did. So,
like what?
Tony, I remember something along the lines of saying, "We're not going to have either cameos, or we're not going to reference fan service. That's what it was. We're not going to have any fan service." And then like every episode, we would see stuff happen. We're like, "Hey, we love that. Show more stuff like that."
He may have meant like gratuitous fan service, because I know everyone complained about Dr. Evazan and Ponda Bamba and Rogue One.
That's what do you call it? People have their own interpretations of what's gratuitous or not. Like, I don't want to get into that because that's just subjective to everybody. Like,
what his point is he's not going to have big mains that we've normally seen. I mean, he's telling his story on his side of the war, basically. And
I argue with a lot of folks. I'm a big Ghostbuster fan. I have some stuff around here that's Ghostbusters related. A lot of folks were saying, "Hey, this is all just gratuitous fan service." When we were in Ghostbusters Afterlife, sorry guys for the Ghostbusters reference, and we were seeing spores, molds, and fungus containers on a table or something, or a shelf, and people were like, "No, that's just gratuitous fan service." And I'm in my head, I'm thinking, we're in the home of Egon Spengler. What did you think you were going to see in the home of Egon Spengler? Right now, we are in 2 years within episode 4, A New Hope. Like, we should start expecting to see references or stuff very similar, costumes, helmets, ships. Like, if we're not seeing those things, then it probably wouldn't make as much sense. So I feel like there are certain things that would make sense that people can still say are gratuitous or not. But like, we're there, guys. We're here on the timeline. We should start expecting things more often.
I am with Ted on this, because he did say that fan service thing wasn't happening. But tell me this isn't like big fan service. They put Star Killer's Sith Stalker armor in like Luthen's shop. It is clearly there. And
that's more Easter egg stuff, though. That
I know, but they had a bunch of Indiana Jones stuff as well. And to me,
there's a difference between that and the Emperor making an appearance. So,
I know.
Yeah, they didn't put it front and center in your face.
They left it for us super nerds to point that out, which is awesome. I love that.
Right. Yeah.
Hey guys, I want to get back to the Death Watch real quick, because somebody who I think should be high on the list this week is Wilmot.
Who?
Wilmot.
The guy that took the big huff of the.
It might not be.
I'm sorry. Back up. Who?
Wilmot.
Wilmot.
Who is Wilmot?
The guy who is with Saw right
Saw
now.
Gerrera at the end, and he took the big huff, and he like couldn't
Okay.
take it.
Oh,
And Saw Gerrera's like,
I
I know
breathing
you
sorry, I
in.
said
haven't-
something about
I have
Amanda
not
Lawrence.
committed his
Yeah.
name to memory yet. Sorry.
Yeah, they don't say his name very much, but they do say it.
Okay.
But yeah, that was a wild scene.
Yeah. All
And of
I know
course-
is him and Saw in two tubes. So
Yeah. And they beautifully told us without telling us why Saw Gerrera needs like the oxygen in Rogue One, essentially, because his lungs are probably failing from all the direct inhalation.
so that direct fight with Darth Vader scenario never happened. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think I was talking to Ted about this too. I think we assumed that it was like from an explosion that he needed like some type of like respiratory system to keep him going. But I think it's from all the inhaling of the fuel there that's like super strong. But Blue Milk Intelligence is saying that he hopes they don't retcon K2 and Andor's first meeting. How would they?
I think it will
retcon
be
the meeting?
slightly well. So they actually do have that in a comic that is technically canon right now. But sorry to burst your guys's bubble on that, but it's probably gonna happen slightly different. I don't think drastically different.
Didn't
but
read the
slightly
comic.
different.
Don't care.
Right.
I think
happens
that
in
Tony
live
Gilroy
action
stands too.
supersedes everything, in my opinion.
Yes. There are people that are very set on like, why did they do that? Because if you go to the Bad Batch and you see that opening scene with Kanan and his master and the Bad Batch there, it's completely different than what Kanan's origin story was in the comics. And that was canon for a bit, and they completely like changed that. So I think that that most likely it will be like slightly different. I think it will be similar, but slightly different. And I agree with you on that because I felt the same way when they recast Bail Organa last week. I know that there was no control over that, a scheduling issue. I understand, but seeing a different actor play someone that we've seen on screen for so long is so weird to me. It is just completely weird, and it really threw me off of when I saw him. And I know that's not a big deal to everyone, but it was weird to me.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Colin, because so many people online freaked out about that, and I'm like, what? What is going on? But Colin explained to me that Bail Organa does voice, or Jimmy Smits does voice Bail Organa in Clone Wars, and of course,
I didn't say
if you have that continuity in there, you want to hear the same voice, you want to see the same guy that you saw in episode 3. And someone brought up the fact that they recast his wife too. So I mean, even though she didn't have any speaking lines in Revenge of the Sith, it was a totally different actress in Obi-Wan Kenobi. But if you have to replace Jimmy Smits, Benjamin Bratt is probably the best actor to replace him.
Perfect choice.
Perfect casting. And actually, it was Kathleen Kennedy's idea. She brought it up to Tony Gilroy because they tried everything to get Jimmy Smits to play Bail Organa again, but it was scheduling conflicts. That's why he's not playing. Not because he wanted more money, not because they wanted to replace him. It was just scheduling conflicts. So that's the reason why we're not getting
a
Jimmy
lot
Smits.
of that was coming to fruition when it came to the writer's strike, and how a lot of people had to bow out of stuff that they wanted to do and they couldn't because they had something else new and scheduled. So
Yep.
Case in point, Stephen Yoon, who
that's exactly what I thought of when you said that.
So yeah.
All right. So I'm just looking at the chat here. Blue Milk Intelligence.
Yeah. I was gonna say I'm with him, David. I never told you that, so I don't know.
I thought you did tell me that.
No.
Who voiced him in animated?
That was Phil Lamar, which I actually just did a interview with. What I told you was that character was really, really important throughout the Clone Wars. Like he played a large part in the Clone Wars, Senator Bail Organa, and
but he looked like Jimmy Smits,
right? And he sounded and he sounded like him too. So it was so cool to see that. It was tough to see this actor, kind of because whenever you replace a character with a different actor from the original, to me, it's always going to throw me off because the person's not doing their own thing. In a way, they are doing an impression of the person that was there prior. So, in a way, I think that's what I'm going to see when I'm watching this. I know he's going to do great in the next scene that we see him in, but it still throws me off just because Jimmy Smits did a phenomenal job. He's been playing this character for what, I think 23 years now, and he's done a phenomenal job. So it's just sad not to see him in that role again. And I understand why, but it is sad because he did such a phenomenal job.
Yeah, but man, they found the perfect actor to replace him. So, I mean, they did the best job possible.
And actually, the one cool thing about that too is Smits and Brat are big time friends, and so he has Jimmy's full blessing to go do it too. And I'm sure Jimmy probably gave him some pointers on playing the character as well. So you have that too. I mean, like I said, sometimes it sucks, but it is what it is. And I'm sure at some point, if they use Bale again, if Jimmy's available, he's going to jump right in and do it. So
I feel like they could have picked a few others that would have fit to that similar role. I would have been equally excited about Lou Diamond Phillips. Can you imagine Lou Diamond Phillips being in that role? I would have lost my shit. That would have been amazing.
Your stuff, you mean?
My stuff.
Yeah.
My Star Wars. I would have lost my Star Wars stuff. Would have been amazing.
Yeah, that would have been cool. He's a guy that actually does a lot of cons, and he's a really good guy as well. So we are at the halfway mark of Andor. We're about to watch the next block, year 3. Up to this point, guys, has Andor season 2 already surpassed what Andor season 1 has done, or you need to see the entire thing? Because everyone out there is saying, it seems like everyone out there is saying that Andor season 2 has already surpassed season 1, and of course, a lot of people regard season 1 as being the best thing since The Empire Strikes Back. So what do you guys think, Ted?
I think it's tough for me. I need to see how they stick the landing, because for me, when you're dealing with a project that has ramifications and expectations, it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. So we can get through these first 3 weeks fairly well and good, and excitement is all there. But if things get either convoluted or confusing, or if stuff just doesn't work out in the final 3 episodes, then it's going to really hurt my feelings on the entire second season. So right now, I say they're about on par. I really did enjoy the first season a lot. The performances were great. The action scenes, just the people they got, playing it. I mean, Moss Baccarat, who is in everything, like he was one of my favorite parts of the first season. I wish they kept it a little bit longer, but he was essential to that specific story. So I really love what they're doing in the second season. Production value is high. The stories are great. The format, it did take me a little bit to get used to it. We're seeing 4 almost very different movies. You have to kind of trick your brain a little bit into understanding that these characters are growing and things are happening in between these episodes that we're not privy to. And so in that situation, you're sort of having to look at it from a different angle altogether, which is a little bit challenging as a viewer. But I love what they're doing with season 2. I want them to continue it, and I want them to stick this landing, because this finish has to be flawless in order for it to really meet the expectations of what we're all hoping it's going to be.
Kevin, what are you thinking?
I feel because the tension right now with the rebellion versus the Empire, yet they're not fully organized. You have that weird Pai Mei whatever, rebels that just could not get out of their own way. They're on Yavin. Forgetting the name of it. Sorry, I just said Pai Mei from Kill Bill, whatever that group was. But besides those guys, though, I feel like the tension is higher, and you're feeling it on both sides of the table there. And I'm trying to remember where I was feeling when I was watching Andor, episode by episode for 12 weeks in season 1, and it had a good buildup. But I think what Andor season 2 smart was releasing the 3 blocks in a row, or 3 blocks at a time, or 3 arcs at a time, because we're getting a Star Wars basically not a mini movie, but a full-on movie each time, and we're getting a lot more of it once. And I think that's an important thing, because we're retaining it sooner, and we're reacting to it, a lot of it. And it's interesting too, because there's so much to react to. You're having to kind of choose on some of the big points. When Kyle and I are talking about Andor in our Culture Clash weekly show, we're having to hit on the main points, and there's so many little things that we're leaving out. But that's not a bad thing, though. That's something that you can go back and rewatch, or just discuss another time. So, is it better? I would say it's definitely better, halfway through than the original Andor was. But I'm not saying that was a downfall for Andor season 1, because it was a great series. But you did have to kind of take that in stride and be patient with it, because there was a lot of time set on Ferrix, just like what they're doing on Gorman right now, because it's a fantastic set. They spent a lot of money for it, and we're expecting a massacre soon. So the tension for the massacre is there, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Kyle?
I think right now for me, it's season 1 and season 2 are on a pretty equal level. But again, I agree with what Ted said. We got to see how this fully plays out. I honestly feel that after tonight's episodes, we might be looking at season 2 in a completely different light than what we have so far. Because I think the difference between season 1 and season 2 is, while season 1 was dark and we saw kind of a little bit of the underbelly of what's going on, I think season 2 has ratcheted that side of it up big time. And I think we're really seeing the darkness that leads to bringing everybody together for the rebellion. Because we're seeing it even in these early episodes of Andor, where not everybody's on the same page about the Empire and what's going on. And I think tonight is going to be the night where a lot of people's minds get changed within the Star Wars universe itself. And I just really think that with the massacre right around the corner and some things that are going to happen, I think we're going to be going to places in Star Wars we've never really truly gone before. And I think that it's going to be why season 2 of Andor ends up being so remembered. But it's also key that they stick the landing. And what makes Andor so interesting about sticking the landing is they're sticking the landing going right into a film that already exists. And so that makes it even more interesting, and even in some ways a little more tricky to get to that point. And so I think we need to wait for that. And I think one of the other fascinating things that I've found about season 2 of Andor is the journey of Cassian, because we are still not quite to the Cassian that we saw at the beginning of Rogue One. There's still some things that are going to be happening that are going to get him to where he was at the beginning of Rogue One. And so it's that path we're following that I think is going to determine where we're going to end up putting season 2 of Andor.
Yeah.
I just want to real quick tag on what Adam Locke said in the chat. Says, I love the format, except I'm on the East Coast, so I can't watch them all the first night, which means I miss all the live after shows. I just want to say that I feel your pain. I'm not in the East Coast anymore, but I remember those days, and it's nice to be on the West Coast to be able to watch it at 6. It's kind of like watching football at 10 a.m. over here, when football season starts. In
God,
I can't.
Lucky.
I feel bad for you guys on the East Coast, Kyle.
Even in Central Time, when football happens, your day is over. But when it's over for you guys on the West Coast, you still have like a night that you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Colin, you have an opinion on that?
So season 1, I will always remember those first 3 episodes where after that 3rd episode, I was like, okay, all right, this is a new show. This is a kind of new take on Star Wars. And then we get episode 4, and then that moment and of season 4 of just with Luthen and Andor and all of that, and then we go to Coruscant. That was the moment for me that was like, okay, I'm in. I'm locked in. Let's go. And it's going to be tough to beat a lot of the arcs that we had in season 1. You know, and I think everyone is still in love with Kino Loy and Narkina 5 and just all of that. The season 1 had some of the best monologues out of all of Star Wars. Like,
weren't we told that
absolutely.
Kino Loy is going to reappear at some point, or was that
It was
just like a
hinted
rumor?
at. It was hinted at. I don't know if
Ted
he
knows Andy
does.
Serkis.
Yeah. I would be very, very happy if he did. Andy Serkis has said in a couple of interviews that he really loved that character, and if there was a way for him to come back, that he would, and people would ask him that question, and then you just kind of go like this. So, but honestly, season 1 is just amazing for me, and the second season is good, but I don't think anything will to me beat season 1. Like, so far of what we've gotten is great, but not to the extent of how much I liked season 1. So maybe these next episodes and the next 3 after that might change my mind. But as of right now, I'm still locked in season 1. Season 1 will always be great from the speech that we got. And like, not only the monologues, but the action scenes were sick too. Like, of when Luthen takes out that Cantwell cruiser, like, that was sick. Like, all of the lasers and all that was absolutely incredible. And then you had just the incredible speeches from a bunch of different actors, like, of where Luthen is talking to Lonnie, and then Lonnie's asking of what he sacrificed. That was some of the best. Absolutely incredible. So I'm excited to see where these next 6 episodes go, because there is a lot. I'm going back to what Kyle said. There is going to be a lot that happens to where we will be looking at the show and maybe Star Wars a tiny bit more differently, because I got a feeling it's going to be dark. There is going to be like a lot more darker things that we've gotten.
That's the appeal of this show, though,
yeah.
right? For us,
Oh, yeah.
it's darker. We like that,
Yeah.
Like, it's a nice turn. So yeah,
It's more serious. Yeah.
yeah.
It's a show for all of us that have grown up with Star Wars since '77. I mean, that's what this is. It's the show written for those of us who've been with the ride from the beginning and have grown up with it, and they're giving us a more adult themed show, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think it's actually something that's been long overdue.
Yeah, it's that meme, right? We've been in this fight since we were 6 years old.
There you go.
So yeah, for me personally, that season 1, the 12 episode season 1, every episode, waiting for the next episode, it felt like, it was like, man, what are we gonna get next? It felt like we spent a long time in that prison for that arc to come to pass. But it's so interesting that they're doing this like 3-block release. And I never thought that they would do something like this. And it's so shocking and surprising. But of course, Tony Gilroy didn't want to spend the next 4 years of his life or 10 years of his life doing 4 more seasons of Andor. And I guess somehow he convinced Disney to do it this way and to convince them to drop these blocks so we can get a full arc done. And it feels like the last episodes of these arcs that we're getting for season 2 are the most interesting, tension-filled, just super exciting. Just what's going to happen, who's going to live, who's going to die, and it's an odd thing because it's like I can't really figure out what I like better. If I like the 1 episode drop a night and then you wait, or just getting 3 episodes all at once. I mean, this is going to end next week already. I mean, this is it, and it's one of the greatest things that Star Wars has ever done, universally accepted as one of the greatest things that we've gotten from the Disney era. And it's over next week. So it's and the other thing I want to say is I think I am kind of tainted from all the people that have already seen the entire series, because
Ugh.
they haven't really done spoilers, but it seems like they've said as much, as Ted alluded to, that they are going to stick the landing from everything that I've seen, without any spoilers being given. So I'm really hyped for that. So if that happens, it's like, okay, well, if they do that, it's going to feel like season 2 is better than season 1, and season 1's already regarded as one of the best things ever. So do you think at this point, the better question might be, do you think at this point, Andor season 2 has the possibility, has the chance to maybe even surpass The Empire Strikes Back?
I don't know about surpassing.
Wait, whoa, wait,
We need to pump the brakes there just a little bit.
Yeah,
this show is over. Get out of here, guys.
You are like
David, you
from
stick
a
with too
TV show
much
to
rock
like a
and roll.
whoa, David.
Well, a lot of
was that
people are
jump?
saying that, man. A lot of people are saying that. So
Better than
I'm just kind
Empire?
of like curious. I mean,
I
we-
don't rate the TV shows up to the
No,
movies. I keep them
Okay.
you
separate.
can't do
That's my
that because
thing.
of you get more time with with characters on a TV show compared to a movie. I feel like there's a lot more stuff going on in Andor than there was in Empire. And then also comparing, I mean, yes, they are in the same universe, but they're completely different stories. Yes, Empire is the darkest out of all of the original trilogy. It was meant to be. But comparing these two different genres, comparing them together just because they're dark, I don't think that's enough to compare to. I think if they were more similar stories, I think that kind of like versus thing that you're trying to do would make more sense. But because they are different stories, and the main thing that sounds like you're trying to connect is the versus thing, I think that's why I can't even put them in the same category, just because they are very, very different.
I have a thought on this, because I think what you could compare to is the impact of Andor on Star Wars and the impact of Empire on Star Wars. I think as far as just the type of story that gets delivered, but I mean, Empire is a movie, and it's a near perfect movie. Andor being a TV show, you have other factors. But I think when Andor is all said and done, we could look back on it and say Andor had this impact on Star Wars. Like, it's not as good as Empire, but it could have that same level of impact as Empire. I think that's where you can maybe go with it. But to try to compare a movie to a TV series, I don't think that's a fair comparison, just because of the storytelling style, the time you get with it, and everything like that. But that's just my opinion. Guys, speaking of the Evil Empire, I got a text from my Evil Empire. I need to go take care of something before the show starts tonight. So I'm going to drop out. It's a pleasure as always. Kevin, I'm counting on you to carry the Fandom Podcast Network flag for the rest of the show.
Yeah, at least for a few minutes more, for sure.
Enjoy the show, everybody. Thanks for having me, David. I appreciate it. We'll see all you guys soon.
See you soon.
All right,
dude.
thanks, Kyle.
Of course, be with you. It's also not fair to Andor. Empire, people have all the reasons why it's their favorite or not their favorite. For me, it had all the best twists and turns. It wasn't just Vader being Anakin. It was Lando betraying Han getting frozen in carbonite. Like, the good guys losing at the end of the movie. Like, there's so many unexpected twists, and you just got hit over and over again with all these things that weren't common at the time, and they're still not common all these years later. So it's not fair to Andor, because you can't do all those things at that level in that short amount of time. Empire is just like impeccably well paced and incorporates all these different thematic elements and does them flawlessly with just the best performers ever. And it's not fair to Andor to compare, almost.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I wonder if we will see the day that something does surpass Empire. But all I'm saying is some of these reviews are saying this is the greatest thing ever, which means it's better than Empire. So I'm just the messenger here.
I don't know, man. I don't think anyone will ever beat the first on-screen appearance of Max Rebo, because of when he made that on-screen appearance. That changed my life forever.
I think there's a lot of recency bias when it comes to a lot of these Snap reviews and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You need to let stuff marinate for a little bit, and you
Yes.
also need to let the series finish first,
Right?
Because if something crappy happens,
Well, no, these are
at the
people that have
end-
seen the entire season 2 that have.
Well,
reported.
yeah.
I don't
but you
respect their opinions anyway, because they have them all and they're like neeners, so I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm gonna listen to you guys. That's you guys' opinions who I
Yeah.
care about.
So here's the thing. People that get early access that also do reviews as well. I am happy for them, but their reviews are going to be different to the people that are watching it because they've already experienced it. And I don't think the hype is as big as the people watching it, because we don't know what to expect next. We don't know exactly what's coming. When people are doing reviews that have seen it, you can kind of see their reactions already, and they're kind of there. And sometimes you can kind of tell what's going to happen because of the reactions, and they are giving the reviews on certain aspects and stuff. So I think that is the biggest difference between people in this line of business that do have that opportunity to do that stuff, and it's fantastic. However, it is different compared to people that are watching the show than to people who have already watched the show, and you can definitely see their reactions. And like, if people ask them questions, they try and have poker face and be like, oh, I don't know. And it's just like, we know, and your reaction is kind of showing us like, something's going to happen. So it is a lot different. Kind of going off of what Kevin was saying. Like, I'm more excited to watch the people that have not seen it yet, because, you have the theories going around. People who have already seen it can't do that. They because of then people might take that as truth. So I'm more excited to see the people on our level that's just like, oh, okay, what's happening next, and having those theories and stuff, and getting more people hyped up about it. Yeah.
And on YouTube, the Mandarian has joined us from Canada. Hello, Canada.
Hello, Canada. Give me some poutine. Miss that stuff.
They say James Bond Jr. for Star Wars. I can kind of see that a little bit. They also reference the call between Cyril and his mother was amazing. She changes the nuances so frequently to play the victim, no matter the situation. Even when she's lashing out, he just has to sit there and take it. Because if he corrects her on everything, it blows his cover, and the mission was a waste. She is the tool that makes the resistance trust him. What do you think about the relationship between Cyril and his mom? Is that something that is like a highlight of the show? Is that something interesting to you guys? I mean, I didn't have that type of relationship with my mom, so I really can't relate. But
I know some moms like that. I really, really do. Yeah. I found it interesting, and Dedra putting her in her place was one of the most satisfying things I've seen in Star Wars in a long time, because I've been in situations and I've had people that are like, there's that mother-in-law, and someone just comes into the fold and sets them straight. But she's been great, though. I love the way that she's written, and what it does though is if you think about it, it kind of makes the character of Cyril and just Andor a little more, not down to earth, not earthy, but these conversations that they're having feel a little more relatable to us, where everything and all the other Star Wars things is all about the Force and destiny and betrayal and blah, blah, blah. These are everyday things that we're going through, and which, for those of you that have seen Orville, I love Orville for the reason that Star Trek doesn't give me, is these normal conversations that people are saying that aren't as stilted and as kind of generic, where it's serving the main value. You got people, forgetting stuff and asking if weird stuff that's happening, and that's what Cyril's mom is in that kind of relationship. And it brings a little realism to the whole thing with little things like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Totally makes sense. Yeah, I really haven't encountered anyone like that. I don't think in a long, long time. Maybe when I was younger, I saw those types of relationships. But the Mandarian chimes in again. It's interesting because she's a minor league version of my mother.
Yeah, if you date a Jewish girl, you will.
All right.
Everyone knows what I'm talking about.
On that note, that is our pre-show for Andor Season 2, Episodes 7, 8, and 9. I want to thank all of our guests here, Ted, Kevin, Colin. We are about 7 minutes from showtime. Have the episodes aired a little bit earlier than top of the hour? No?
No.
Okay. Well, you're going to get some a little bit of free time back. So
Yes.
the Mandarian says, thanks for having us. Thank you for joining us. Everyone in chat.
Yay,
on
thanks for the
YouTube
chat.
watching us. Yeah, definitely. Like the video. Subscribe if you haven't. And we will be back to react to everything that we saw in 7, 8, and 9. And who knows? This could be the Empire Strikes Back of Andor Season 2 because it's right before the end. So for Ted, Kevin, Colin, my name is David, and may the Force be with you.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Later.
Max Rebo's got 4 limbs.